Good night, everyone, and welcome to another Monday night at the Georgetown Tea House. My name is Marcel. For those of you who don't know me, and for those of you who know me, I'm back. I'm here. I'm always here, but I'm always in the background of late. Juicy calls. But I'm here, and I am so happy. I'm always thrilled to be live in front of you. I want to thank you so much for always choosing the Georgetown Tea House Monday after Monday, to sit and chat with us. Tonight, we got a vibrant set of young people, men and women, who are going to weigh in on this conversation with us. And trust me, guys, you're going to have a really good time. And I'm looking forward to your input. I'm looking forward to your contributions as well. So again, I say welcome, welcome, welcome. And don't forget, tell us who you are. I see you logging on. So tell us who you are and where you're coming to us from tonight. All right. So I know usually even after would have ended here, we always have people coming back to view. That's like a regular thing. Some people miss it because of work. When I have to work, I have to sometimes go back, even if I'm listening, and a lot of our friends do that too. So I'm happy you do, and I welcome you, and I'm so thankful that you choose to come on after we would have gone. We're not live, but you're still there going through, and you're laughing, and you're making comments, and listen, I am so always delighted. And so I want to say a very big thank you to you. So again, tell us who you are. Tell us where you're coming to us from. All right. So listen. Oh, we want to ask this question. To be talking about gender roles tonight. Male, female. Our friends in the chat. The first question I want you to weigh in, like I said, tell us what the obvious, apart from the obvious differences, that is, biological makeup, what else differentiates us, male and female? All right. So stay tuned, guys, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Examine any profound event in the Bible or in the history of Christianity, and one is sure to recognize the consistently pivotal role of conversational interactions. We see this at play in Genesis, the first book, where through a series of conversations we witness the fall of our species and the expulsion from the Garden of Eden. The conversation between God and man, the conversation between man and woman, the conversation between the woman and the devil, and so on. At the Georgetown Tea House, we know the great importance and pivotal role that conversations often play in our lives on this earth. And thus, we will seek to engage in the types of conversations that are insightful, stimulating, and thought-provoking. And yes, occasionally a trifle boring. Our hope is that with each visit to the tea house, we can become better aware of who we are, of our relationship with God, and where we stand with each other and the rest of humankind. And yes, through it all, there will be music. For music, it had been written, is the food of love, and God is love. Join us every Monday evening on Facebook and YouTube Live for Conversations at the Georgetown Tea House, a Gospel Side of Me production. Please, do bring along a cup of tea or a glass of your favorite juice.
All right, we're back, and we're welcoming you as you come on. I'm seeing some of our friends here already. Purpose Driven, Arangelo. Girl, I missed you. June, June, we go a long way back from the village, That's my girl. Thank you for joining us tonight. Lindsay, listen, any one of y'all who don't know Lindsay, something wrong with you guys because Lindsay is a permanent fixture at the tea house. You know, she's just one of the founder members here, man. You know, he's foundation. And Michelle, girl, I miss you. I miss you. Thank you so much. So keep sharing the live, guys. Let your friends know that we're live and we want to hear from them. All right. Don't forget, share. Keep sharing the live. Hi, Sister Gracelyn. That's my friend. Grenada, I think. Grenada. Originally, she lives in Trinidad. Thank you so much. Oh, she misses me too. Yes. So, guys, how are things? Listen, guys. Before we delve deep in, I have to talk a little bit with our friends online here with me, because Tyrone, for one, I asked the others what they did, but Tyrone, for one, did baked up a storm today, right? And so it's very fitting, you know, based on the conversation that we're about to have. You know, that Tyrone was in the kitchen today all day, you know. Not all day, I don't know. Tyrone, what happened with this? How come he got into the kitchen and started baking up a storm?
Yesterday, Marcel, I was at school today. Good evening, everyone.
It was yesterday. You have misinformation.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Georgetown Tea House. I'm happy to be back here again. One of the things I love baking and so on. It gives me great joy to just stand in front of an oven and make stuff. And I love flour. I love any flour product. So yesterday I just decided, you know what? Let me just make myself happy. And I baked some pastries and some cheese roll and patties and some flatbread and so on. And I shared my friends and so on. So that gives me great joy. It brings joy and satisfaction to me.
Okay. And listen carefully. It just wasn't bread. It was flatbread. Listen, a lot of us would just make a little round bread, right? I'd make a mean bread, but I would just make a little round thing and put it like a little tennis roll and put it in the pan. He's talking about flatbread. Now flatbread, you got to now roll up 3 separate things and then put it to the top and then plait it. And like Cleon now know a thing or two about flatbread. Okay, Cleon, jump in. What's happening with you? How was your day?
Well, I am here at work. We just not even finished with the sales training, but I stepped out.
Thank you.
I do miss the cheese roll and the patties. Even though people say I can make it here, I don't think the cheese and the ingredients that they have here in Jamaica, it's not good. It doesn't give you that same taste, in my opinion.
They got Uncle Cheese in Jamaica?
Only them little square block of cheese will come in from New Zealand, not like the big fat one that we are accustomed to.
No, it's the same thing, man. Don't let me.
No, it's I don't want a vegetarian Anchor cheese. I want real cheddar Anchor cheese where you know when you put it outside, it starts running the little fat off, and you could do something well with it. That's the cheese I'm talking about. That is
New York.
Uptown parcel cheese. I don't want that.
Okay.
But other than that, it's now raining.
Okay.
Which is not bad, but it's pretty good so far. And I'm excited to see Bella back this week, and Orlando and Randy has been favored to be back with us again. He's not under lock and key. His words sort of expressions.
I know.
and Tyrone is here, and like I said, I'm really excited about the conversations we have on a weekly basis. They are intriguing, they're not boring, and they cause us to really challenge each other to really know why we hold this premise. And like I say to you, Marcel, my being here is not just for show. It is. This is my belief. I think that conversations among the Christian arena should no longer be boring. It should be factual. It should be based on a premise. And if you believe that is your opinion, you're truly entitled to it. But it's not necessarily a fact. And so at the Tea House, we're saying to you, like, share, and subscribe, because your best Monday night de-stressor, your best Monday night relaxer is on. So if you're not locked in, you're missing while the tea is going to be spilling.
Exactly. I'll drink to that. I'll drink my coconut water to that.
I will drink my water and mind my own business.
Bella. Thank
I
you for choosing us.
Thank you so much. No, I'm so excited. I really love the interchange that we have. This is like I was saying earlier, I feel like this is kind of like therapeutic for me too, in a way. It's really nice to have the like healthy interchange of opinions. It's really good to know what people think, because a lot of things that we express, many people are thinking as well, and they do have questions and opinions like we do. So it's really great to have healthy conversations about topics that many people do think about on a daily basis. I did not bake or cook anything today. I went to work. I was on Zoom calls all day, just like networking with people and setting up like social media accounts and things like that. So that was my day. But yeah, this is truly de-stressing to me as well. I really enjoy the conversation that we have. I enjoy all of you, so I'm happy to be back.
Good. Landy, what's going on? What's cooking at your end?
Nothing's cooking. Had a day at work today also. In and out of meetings, so that's not much, that I think I can do. After that day, I want to de-stress, like get it off of me. Very productive day, but again, I am happy to be here. You guys calm my soul, and again, it's so good to interact with people. I get to feed off of your minds. That is something I love to do, because I might think of things in one way, but then you guys open a whole new world to me. It doesn't mean that I'm going to say yes, but I get to see and understand how you think from a different point of view. So definitely, I love it. And thank you for having me back.
Mhm. Randy, I'm happy that you're here, that you didn't get banned for all them things that you've been saying on this program. I happy my sister-in-law to be saying, it's okay. I'm gonna allow you to go.
um, well, it shows I wear the pants around here, Marcel.
You talking about gender
Um,
roles now? I wear pants to both. I wear pants to both. All right.
I know, I know. Um, I'm also happy to be here. I want to say first, Tyron. Next time you come in and talk about baking all day and so on, we need evidence. You know what I mean? Of of the product. Or at least have some of those persons that you would have shared with to come and testify of these products that you would have produced. I know you come from a house of mighty cooks, and but I'm not sure how much would have passed on. Um, but I'll take your word for it, my brother. My culinary skills are not high, so to speak. I am not a man of the kitchen. I prefer the cleaning and stuff, so I'm very good at that. So I'm not here to report about anything that I would have done in the kitchen except to eat. Um, but but I mean the weekend was good. Today was busy at work, hectic and everything, and I'm here, somewhat tired because I was in the gym, but I'm here, and I look forward to Monday nights as Cleon and Lisa and Orlando and Tyron and everybody would have said. I look forward to this time. No matter how tired I am, doesn't matter where I am, I try to rush to get home to be a part of this program because, like, for everybody, it's not only therapeutic, as Lisa would have said, but the wealth of information that we get here and the various perspective and point of views
Yes.
from different culture and area of living.
Yes.
It's
Definitely.
really overwhelming and I enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? And like everybody would have said, it's our opinion, all right? And in many cases we back them up with facts. And in many cases we also have common grounds, but also we welcome the different sides and
Of
and
each of
and
us. Yes.
Yeah.
yes, and how you can back it up. So it's great. And I'm happy to be here. So good night to everybody who's looking, and I trust that we will have a fantastic program tonight. I know you will. All
Yes.
right. So brace
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
Brace yourself.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. To go ahead. I encourage you to go live, ahead and share the broadcast. Let them know that we're on. We're about to really get into things, into the meat of things. So please go ahead and share with your friends, share with your family, bring on a friend or two. Let them know that this is the place. All right. So go ahead. I'll give you a few minutes to share, and we'll be right back. Okay. Welcome back. So we open by asking you the question about, apart from the obvious biological differences between male and female, what were some of the other differences? So I'm going to ask Bella first. I'm going to go to you, come to you, Bella. Outside of the obvious change, what are some of the other differences that you
I was like, just the way that we think. I think men and women think very differently. It's kind of like that example when you're like driving, we're more like landmark people, and they're more like they actually know like what highway is number what or whatever, and we're like, no, the big building, you make a left, you know. So I think sometimes we focus on a lot of aspects when it comes to making decisions, and it comes down to our emotions as well. I think, in my opinion, men can be more mechanical, so it's, you know, could be technically black and white. There are gray areas, but it's more 2 + 2 is 4, and that's what we're going to go on, and that's about it. So I feel that those are differences, and so that's why when communication is involved, it can be difficult, because I can draft an entire paragraph or say something to a man about maybe, you know, something that's going on, and then his reply will be okay. And, you know, that doesn't help me in any way, but you guys know that that's exactly what happens. So that's why it's hard to communicate when we effectively, because of that reason.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Bella. Cleon. Bella said, jump into this direction and think, you know.
Trying to think. I think the amount of words that we utilize per day. I saw a show last night. It says men use about 13,000 words per day on average, and women are like in close to 22,000 words per day. So I think because, like Bella was saying with regards to communication, I think because we use less words, sometimes we, at that point when we're having that conversation with you, all we could remember is okay, and yeah, nothing else necessary. But and then sometimes it could be that, you know, if you say something else other than what okay or yes, it is going to lead on to something else. Let me give you the scripture. Like I saw this little cartoon where the lady calls the guy, and he said to her, well, if you want to, then she turns and she says to him, so do you want me to come over, or don't want me to come over? And it's like, the way how women process things depending on the level of relationship sometimes could be really, really misconstrued. And all he was simply saying in layman terms, I am not saying that you cannot come over. I'm not saying that I would like you to come over right now, but if you would like to come over, it is absolutely fine with me.
Yeah, but y'all are clear, you know.
Well, I just don't know how to read signs.
Oh, Lord. Orlando, what are some of the obvious changes? And guys in the chat, I see the lovely Lurlin is there. Good night, Lurlin and Yonette. You guys have joined us late. Sharmina, Blackmon, Blackett, thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us at the tea house. And you guys can weigh in too. I want to hear from you. Tell us what the obvious differences are outside of biology. All right, we want to hear from you too. Yes, Orlando. Your take.
All right. So I do think one of the biggest things or differences between a woman and a man is our emotion. We are way more emotional than men are. We actually wear it on our shoulders. So again, Like Cleon said, if you're not clear or give us more words, we get emotional, whereas we take it to heart and then it goes to another step. I do think our intuition as women, we always think there's that feeling that something is going on. This is not right. Is it right? Is it not? A lot of our intuitions kick up a lot when it comes to male and female or woman and man. Whereas a man, he just goes with the flow. But us, we're more a little standoffish because we're feeling something or we're thinking something. So I think those are like two of the most important differences when it comes to differentiation between man and woman.
All right. Taryn, I'm leaving you for last. Randy. Randy said, of course, he did say he wearing the pants. He said that up front, first thing.
I'm the alpha in the house, of course. I mean, I would want to support what Lisa and Orlando and even Clea would have said. Yeah, the way we think, it's kind of different. Emotionally, women act in a certain way, they think in a certain way. So outside of our genetic built up or physical made up, we just emotionally and how they think. I think there are minute differences between us because men are very emotional too. Just that we show it in a different way. You know what I mean? We are very emotional, but we show it in a different way. As how it relates to women and men think, like Cleon would have alluded to, some men, men, we think in a straight line, you know what I mean? Women, they think in circles. You know what I mean?
We think, because so we think for ourselves and for you.
No, yeah, I just think in circles. I mean, one presenter, I can't remember his name, but he sums it up best. He says that a man will come home and ask his woman, what you cook? She knows she cook bora. Who should tell the man to cook bora and chicken? She can tell you the whole episode leading up to this bora and chicken. I went to the market and I run into Roxanne, and girl Roxanne went telling me this thing is so. And then I see this man pass and I get bora, and this bora was selling so nice and cheap, and I buy it, and then I remember I get a piece of chicken. Tell him all we want to hear is that you cook bora and chicken. That is what we ask. You understand?
No, I want to know that that's even bora and chicken. What you want to know that we do is that we cook. And that's even bora and chicken, we cook. All right.
Well,
Tyrone, I know you got a different. I know you always giving us a different angle, so I'm anxiously awaiting that.
I would say that I would agree to an extent with everybody, the comment that I've made. But basically, what Cleon said, it seems as though men are taking over women's role in terms of number of words they use, because among the things that men are talking these days, it leaves one to wonder. And I read an article some time ago that suggests that men are more emotional than women. And the writer highlighted about 4 or 5 different points and so on. One point he highlighted said, look at a man at a game. Look at men behave at sports game, at football game or cricket game, and just look at how they express. And that says a lot. But in relation to differences, I think one of the major difference is, and I've seen this in a few YouTube clips, on how the brain is structured.
Okay.
The male brain and the female brain. I'm not a neurologist. I don't know much about it. But basically what it says that, and there's this book that I heard about. I didn't read much about it, but just I read just extras from it that women are spaghettis and men are waffles, I think. And basically what the writer was saying is that women's brain, they connect everything. Everything for a woman is interconnected. And that is why you can do something to a woman like 6 o'clock in the morning, and then at 7 o'clock in the night she goes back to what happened 6 o'clock in the morning. Because everything is connected. But a man's brain is basically operating segments. So when I'm 6 o'clock in the morning, it is left right there. You finish with that, and we move forward. And so those are basically, from what I've heard, from what I've read, 2 different differences between a man, male and a female.
Wow. Okay. And you're right. I know this is going to be. I'm sure it's going to come up later on in the conversation. But when you talk about segments, something happened in the morning and you forget, and you come home night and you expected something, and we know this spaghetti brain, you said waffle brain of ours that's very connected.
Spaghetti, everything is
Spaghetti,
interconnected.
connected, right? Our spaghetti brain. Remember that 6 o'clock morning episode, and unless we come to a table and we said we need to talk.
Yeah.
That we need to talk conversation that women like to have. You guys get scared when we say we need to talk.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the essence I got
So
from it.
yes. All right. So guys, welcome again to the Georgetown Tea House. It's another Monday night, and we are here and we're talking about the roles of men and women, among other things. All right, regarding relationships, etc. So do stay tuned. Do like the broadcast, like and share and subscribe. We're on YouTube as well, so you can share that YouTube link. It's Let's Talk Caribbean.com, one word, Let's Talk Caribbean.com, and you can share that with your friends who are not on Facebook. Not everybody on Facebook. You can share that link with them. All right, and stay tuned. We want to hear from you as well. Don't forget, we want to hear from you. So like the broadcast, share the broadcast, and we'll be right back with you shortly. Just enjoy this music from Ma.
There are some things that I may not know. There are some places that I can't go. But I'm sure of this one thing, that my God is really real, 'cause I can feel him in my soul. Yes, God is real. He's real in my soul. Yes, God is real. He's real in my soul. My God is real in my soul. Real in my soul. He's real in my soul.
All right, good evening, and you're on to another Monday night conversation at the Georgetown Tea House. Welcome aboard, folks, and we're going to get right into the conversation. Randy,
Yes, sir.
so this morning your wife approaches you and she says, "We got to talk." Now, what are you thinking? What's going through your head?
Here we go again.
Here we go again. Are you shaking in your boots at all? Are you thinking? I want if she see me talking with Jackie so and maybe she's wondering if there's a relationship there. Does your mind begin going 9 knots an hour, as you would say?
No, not at all. When my wife says we need to talk, I know that there is something on her mind that she needs to get off her chest. Perhaps something we might have dealt with before, and she's not quite satisfied with perhaps the response or whatever she got, or perhaps she just wants to get the last word in. That's women.
Well, the last word in that's interesting. Orlando, do you agree with that? That women always have a tendency to always want to get the last word in. Do you agree with that?
I wouldn't say that we want to get the last word in, maybe so, but I wouldn't say that. I think it's more clarification. If it's something that we spoke about before, or if it's something that it's not connecting, then I want to talk some more, or I will want to talk at that time. I need clarity. I don't want to carry on my day, just, being there thinking or having things going through my mind. So for me, I want to get it done right there, and let's get it done so we can move on with our day.
Okay, Bella, should a guy have reason to fear if you, given what you know about yourself, um, reach that point where you tell somebody, "Hey, we got to talk." Should he have reason to fear?
I don't think it's necessarily reason to fear. It could be something like Orlando was saying, it could be something maybe repetitive that was going on, maybe little conversations we had before that about something that just came to a point now that we really need to address it. It could be various things. It could be about business. It could be about our jobs. So it could be changes like that. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily something to fear. It is, I'm sure, like, you can get intimidated when you're in a relationship with someone and you're discussing that. But ideally, I think it's healthy, because that means we've got to get to the bottom of this, like Orlando said, and figure it out. Because if not, later on, if I tell you, hey, my job is moving to Miami, I just forgot to tell you, like, that's going to cause a problem. So it's important, as much as we can do on both sides, to make sure that we have these conversations.
Okay. Tyrone, Trevor Benjamin is saying, more often than not, when a woman says we have to talk, it's about something that a man has done wrong. Do you agree, Tyrone? You're
muted, Tyrone.
Sorry. A very good friend of mine always warns me not to generalize certain statements. So I would say that I will not say that more often than not that the man has done something. 20, 15 years ago, I might have said that. But from experience and from what I've learned, is that you just allow things to be, just go with a free mind. Because what you might be expecting is nothing close to what comes out. It's just that maybe she has something, as Randy said, which I agree with, that she has something she wants to express. Whatever that is, then just allow it to be. But to say that it's because the man has done something wrong, I think sometimes we men shoot ourselves with an empty gun. A very good friend of mine, very good female friend of mine, would always say, always said to me, "It's empty gun that shoots a guilty man." Eh? So sometimes we might be guilty of something, so we think that's the first thing our mind goes to. What we are guilty of, when the woman just wants to talk. There's nothing specific that she wants. Just want to talk. Maybe she just want to express something. Maybe she just wants to hear your voice. Maybe she just wants a companion that. So it varies. And so my thing is just let things be. Go with a free mind. Go with an empty mind. Go with a blank mind. Whatever it is, let's talk.
Yeah, but sometimes the tone of voice, and Nancy, sometimes the tone of voice gives you inclination as to what to expect. You know when a woman mad and say we gotta talk. I mean, you know how it comes out. So
yes,
sometimes or
but again, she might be upset, but not at you. Maybe something at work, she was upset, and she just wants somebody to talk with. So that's the thing. Even if there's an indication, just go with an empty mind. Just let it be.
Interesting. Orlando, do you think in a case where guilt is involved, on either side, would a guy react differently from a woman, who's guilty? Let's say either party is guilty of cheating, and the male approaches the woman and say, "Hey, we gotta talk," or the woman approaches the man and say, "We gotta talk." When it comes to guilt, do you think that men and women deal with their guilt differently?
I think
You're blushing, Orlando. Stop blushing.
I think a man can get a little more talkative when he's on a guilt trip. Questions would be asked, like upfront, like why do we have to talk? Do we have to do it now? Like questions like that would come out just because it's nerves. Right. And I don't think it's kind of different with women, because even for myself, even if I'm not guilty and I'm approached, I'm somebody that I talk aloud. Like, I can't keep it in my head. So if you ask me that, I'm gonna ask you why. I'll be like, for what? Like, I wanna know why we gotta talk. But it just comes out. I'm not guilty, but it does. I think if there's guilt, there are more questions, because you want to know what that person thinking. Am I caught? Do they know what's going on? Or anything like that. So I think for both parties, it can be the same.
It can be the
No
same.
kind of
Okay.
difference when it comes to guilt.
Cleon, are you with us?
Pardon?
Okay, cool. All right. So Tyrone, would you say that there's a difference when it comes to guilt? When a man is guilty, does he react differently from when a woman is guilty?
I am not too sure if they react differently, but I know guilt has a way of showing itself up. And if the other party is keen enough in observing and in
Right.
knowing the person very well, how they react to certain things, then they can tell if something is basically happening, something is not connecting. And but the way there are some men that are very skillful in hiding their guilt. They are so skillful that they would swing the conversation in a hurry, in such a hurry that the woman would even recognize what's happening. All right, and on the other hand,
Any experience with that, Tyrone?
no. And then there's the I'm just talking about observation and talking with other people, and then there's some women who are also skillful in hiding their guilt and feelings and so on. And so it's a matter of knowing the person, observing, and look for trends. As you look for trends and you observe, you will see some kind of disconnection between there's some discontinuity somewhere along the line. Discontinuity somewhere along the line in the conversation that's not adding up. But in terms of how they react to guilt, I am not too sure if they react differently.
Okay, cool. Bella, between men and women, coming off of something that Tyrone just said, who would you say is better at masking their guilt, men or women?
Better, it all depends, because I feel like, as he was saying, even though we can react differently, it depends. I think even on your relationship, you, like he said, you can kind of read the signs of the individual. A lot of times, and now we're getting into toxicity per se. So this is where narcissism and gaslighting can breed. You can gaslight someone for years and say, like, this table is blue. We know it's red, but you will eventually make that person believe that it is blue. So that can definitely happen. That's how a person can mask their guilt, especially if they don't want to get caught. And because we are different, I think that with regards to communication, you can do that in various ways. So like I said, you can wordplay, you can do so many things. I was at the bar, I wasn't at the bar, I was inside of it, I was outside of it, I was next to it. Like, there's so many things that you could say that is manipulation. And when manipulation plays and it involves itself in that, that's what you get.
Okay. Randy, what's your take? Do men and women do they personify guilt in a different manner, or you just see that guilty is guilty and
I think we both act differently, and like Tyrone would have said, some of us would have mastered the art of being guilty and make ourselves not appear to be guilty. But really and truly, men just as though we think in a straight line. We're very simple to decipher and to understand, right? We're not good at hiding things and so to speak. But with a woman, I mean, in my experience, all right, women, it's difficult to detect unless you have evidence of certain things. A woman can tell you so many things, and with the lack of evidence, you tend to believe your you tend to believe the woman, you tend to believe your partner. You know what I mean? Look at this example, and this is I don't want to stray too far, but I would tell my friend, I said, look, if my wife decides, okay, well, if my wife should have a crush on you, or perhaps make an advance to you, you being my friend, being loyal to me, you will come and say to me, man, Randy, man, I gotta tell you this, but me, you're good, and so on. Your wife would have made a pass at me, and so on and so on and so on. You know what I mean? Now, with you saying that to me and my wife telling me no, who would I believe? Who would I believe? I would tend to believe my wife, because she's my wife. If she's saying no, and right there and then she puts me in a position, or I'm in a position where I don't know who to trust. I don't know if my friend who is really loyal to me and just saying to me that my wife made a pass at you, and me now believe in my wife because there is no evidence or whatever. So I would tell my friend, and this is just barbershop talk, and this is something I used to say young, but I just feel that to bring it up now, because it's how I used to think. So I would say to them, look, if my wife made an exact and a pass at you, don't come and tell me. You do what you gotta do. You understand me? In the way she has no way to lie. There's evidence that, look, this would have been done. You understand me? But you can't come and just tell me I torn her down and whatever, and then the woman saying no. Who am I to believe? You understand what I'm saying? So I'm trying to emphasize the point that we act differently. We put over things differently. We can, you understand me? And we react to guilt in different ways. Men, to me, are more easily detected than women. That's my opinion. Easily.
Say that again, Randy. Men.
I said men, in my opinion, when it comes to guilt, they are easily detected. They are found out easily.
Would you agree, Cleon? It's
not from experience, but I absolutely disagree with that. Any human being who wants to hide anything has that innate ability to do so.
Okay.
Some men, and I will say this, some men living with some women who sleeping on top of their head for years and they don't even know. Vice versa, some women sleeping with some men and they're sleeping on top of their head for years, and the person living right next to them and they don't even know. So if you want, and that is how human beings are, if we want to do something that is evil, even God sometimes can't even stop you, because that's what you plan to do, and you know how you plan it, and you know you're going to do it. And when you finish, you go eat your food, you wipe your mouth, and you come back and you belch like normal.
But there is always a giveaway. There is always a giveaway, but just that you don't pay attention.
There is only a giveaway if you decide that you want to give away something.
Yeah,
Trust
but I'm
me.
saying I understand that. But
Randy, if you want to give away, and the only giveaway will come because you're feeling guilt, you're feeling restless, you're feeling anxiety within yourself, you cannot come to grips that you actually did this to somebody that you should not have done it to. Only then you give away. But if in my mind I feel, well, this is regular life, this is what men supposed to do. Men supposed to have 3, 4, and 5 women. You can't tell me that I can't do this. But guess what? Seeing that I could do this and you can't figure out, I will continue to play the baby party until the bubble pops.
Yeah, but men are not good at holding out for long periods.
Respond to Marcia.
Randy, speak for yourself. Speak for yourself.
Men can't calculate and plan as well as most women.
And I agree with her. And even if we come up with a good plan, we can't hold out for long periods. We don't remember things, and we don't. I mean.
I know a good amount of them.
Well, there are a few exceptions, of course. There are a few exceptions, but generally, in the whole, we don't remember things that we would have said way back, and then when it comes up now, so most times that's how we get caught up, because we don't hold our story together more than often. I mean, after a while, sometimes we play a good game for a while, but there are always the signs that are there that you can tell, you can see. But it's just that sometimes the woman is so much in love that she's blind to those signs, and vice versa. But genuinely, men, we can't hold out long enough. A woman can, and that's in my opinion, clear.
Interesting. Jennifer Lynn is saying, if women don't want you to know, even Jesus can't help you. Men aren't detail oriented. If you have something to hide, women will find it. What do you think about that?
I disagree with them.
I agree.
The heart of man is desperate, is deceitful and desperately wicked above all things. Who can know it? I rest my case. I repeat the text, Jeremiah. The heart
You
of
see
man
why I agree with Tyrone?
is deceitful and desperately wicked above all things. Who can know it?
Wow.
Yeah, that's true. But we're looking at trends, and we're looking at trends and commonalities, and we're looking at what is prevalent and what is actual.
The heart of men is deceitful and desperately wicked above all things. Who can know it?
That's a quote from our good old brother Tyrone. All right.
Yes, and that even supports Terrell Lane's point. Only Jesus can help you, because only Jesus knows it.
On both
All
sides,
right.
men and women.
The phrase is "It wasn't me." Many of you are familiar with that popular song by Shaggy. Bella, how do you deal with a young man, a partner who insists, even though you have the evidence, that it wasn't me? What do you say to such a fellow?
I think at the end of the day, you have to chalk it up to him to stop lying to himself. Like a person, like I said, when narcissism and gaslighting and manipulation is involved, all that comes to play. If you keep telling lies and you're so good at it, it's like a salesman. You can pitch whatever you want. At the end of the day, you're actually going to believe your own lies. And then it just comes up to that point where it's like when everything's out in the open and you still don't believe it. I mean, how toxic can a person get at that point? You have to figure out to yourself if this is the point where I have to detach myself from this person because he's really not making a change. It's like Tyrone was saying, I think last Monday about repentance. You can forgive someone only if they're really actually sorry for what they did. Someone cheated on you, for example, and if we're saying they made a mistake, if you're willing to take them back and try because it's not repetitive, then that's one thing. If you're in a whole relationship with someone else, the chances are that that person's really not repentant or sorry about what they did. They've decided they're with a whole nother person. They may want to keep you too because you were loyal, and they want someone that's loyal, but they want to have fun also. And they're going to sit there and gaslight you. No, I'm telling you that this table is blue. I'm telling you. And they'll sit there and tell you. Unless you get caught up in it, you need to really have a conscious mind to understand what you're going through to get out of that situation at that point, in my opinion.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. This is the Monday Night Conversation at the Georgetown Tea House, and we have the first part of a series of conversations where we want to explore the roles of men and women. Now, we want to get into a phrase that both sides use every now and then. So we will start Orlando and Tyrone. I want to get each of your perspective as male and female. Orlando, what is your understanding when somebody says he is a weak man? What comes to mind when you hear that phrase?
More than likely, when they say he's a weak man, it means it comes from a relationship standpoint, whereas he's being maybe used, abused, lied to, taken advantage of, and he still stays in that relationship. So from that is what I gather from someone saying he's a weak man. Most of the times it is relationship directed towards the relationship, whereas like they're saying he's not showing as if he has any kahunas, like we say. So he's being taken full advantage of by whoever he's with, and he's just sitting around. He might know that that woman might be cheating on him, and he's still there. Or the kids that he has, it's not his, but he's still there. So that is the phrase used a lot of times when they try to describe what a weak man is.
Okay, Tyrone, what's your take when you hear the term, or when you hear people use the term, he's a weak man? What do you think they're referring to?
If I should just quickly comment on what Orlando said, my question is that really a weak man? But then again, I think when we hear the term weak man, I look at it from three different perspectives. From societal perspective, because society sees a man who's at home, who cleans, who washes, while the wife goes to work and all the rest of it. They see that as a weak man. Society would see a man who beats his wife, a man who who controls as a strong man. And then you have the way the church looks at a weak man. The church may look at a weak man as a man who doesn't take care of his family, as a man who's unfaithful, a man who goes around, who doesn't take responsibility. And then how God looks at a weak man, what's God's definition of weak man. So from those three perspectives, I think we have three different definitions of a weak man. But from how I see from my perspective, I think a weak man is not necessarily one who loves his wife or his girlfriend so much that he's willing to sacrifice certain things. He's willing to not to put up with certain things, but he's willing to work, and he's willing to work on the relationship and takes on his responsibility. That's a strong man. But a weak man for me is one who treats a woman as though she's his child. One who doesn't take his responsibility as a man, one who doesn't provide. A lazy man is a weak man, man who doesn't want to work, who doesn't like to work, who doesn't want to be a man. That is who I consider as a person who is a weak man. Your mic is muted, Nancy.
Okay, sorry about that. Cleon, when you hear the term, what is the man of the weak? What do you think of?
The typical stereotype of someone who takes abuse from the other gender, which would be the woman. He is not allowed to make decisions. He is controlled by the person who he's in the relationship with. And those are the things that we see that we consider to be or known to be for a weak man. Also, I think one who is not able to provide for his family, I would call that a weak man from a biblical perspective, because you, as a man, you are required, it is your responsibility. It is the demand of not humanity, but of God firstly, that you must take care of your family. So apart from you not being able to make decisions and all of that, I think the worst thing for you being a weak man is not being able to provide and provide counsel, provide comfort, provide security. All of those things, I'm not just talking not only about money, but provide a safe space for your family. That's a weak man.
Okay. Randy, hold on. Yeah, Randy.
Yeah.
Tyrone would have responded to Orlando's, and Cleon started to make that point, with looking at it from the perspective of relationships, and it seems that the guy is being taken advantage of and thing, and most times we would say that is a weak man. Would you agree, or would you say that sometimes a man could just be that much in love, and so he opts to ignore? Or would you agree that a man in a relationship who's evidently, the wife might be cheating or something, that is a weak man?
It is commonly said, and like I said, I'm a barbershop guy. I like to lie in the barbershop and get a different perspective. You know what I mean? And everything passes through the barbershop. The notion out there is that, like everybody would have said, a weak man is one who, in the Jamaican term, we gal a runny head. I mean, and like you would have said, society sees a weak man, or I mean, out there, that someone whose wife is in control and all of these things. But I want to side with Tyrone on this one, in that a weak man is someone who failed to take up his responsibilities, his role as head of the home, as a leader, as a provider, as a protector. All right. To me, that's a weak man, someone who prefers to sit and see his children hungry and hardly have clothes and all of these things, and don't provide, and have a good shelter and all of these things for his family. That's a weak man, you know what I mean? I can have my wife making more money than me, but I'm still leading. I'm still a man in the house, and that also will say a lot about the woman and knowing her role and responsibility also. But yes, society, or genuinely uninformed person, will see a weak man as someone whose wife is running things, so to speak. But when we look at it holistically in society, biblically, is a weak man is somebody who fails to stand up, or and to be a man as God would expect him to be. To be that provider, to be that protector, to be that leader, to be that priest in the home. Right. So once you're not doing that, you're a weak man, yeah.
Okay, Dexter Williams is saying the connotation of a weak man in some groups are men who are loving, kind, and supportive to their family. In other words, a good man. In other settings, a weak man is one who is always accommodating and forgiving. The word that jumped up to me there, Tyrone, is forgiving. All right, and last week we spoke about forgiveness. Now, would a man who choose to forgive his spouse or partner for more than one infraction, he has deliberately chosen to forgive, should he be seen as a weak man, Tyrone?
That's a man of strength.
That's
a man of tremendous
strength.
Would
you agree with that, Orlando? That if the man has chosen to repeatedly forgive his spouse or partner, that he's a man of strength. Orlando, you're muted.
Yes,
you're muted.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, that is a man of great strength, and has a lot of forgiveness in his heart, because if you're recurring with the same thing, it doesn't even get past once for me, but once, twice, and you're forgiven and willing to move on, yes, you are a man of great strength and a lot of forgiveness.
If I be
go ahead.
Just expand a bit on what I said. That's a man of strength. Let me just say this quickly. Society has gotten it so upside down, back to front, that if a man stays in such a relationship, he's weak. But if a woman stays, she's strong. That's unfair to women. If you try to strike a balance here, the women that stays in the relationship forgives men over and over, they are strong. Oh, that's a strong woman. But a man who stays and forgives, he's weak? No, it can't be fair. That's unfair to women. And so the reason why I said that a man who forgives often, who has a forgiving nature and forgiving spirit, is a man of strength, is because for me, strength of a person, generally speaking, comes when you know that you have the power in your hand to take revenge, to do certain things, and you just lay that power down for the betterment of the person. And that is why, for me, that's a man of strength.
Yeah.
Excellent point. What's your would you like to add something to that, Cleon?
Just concurring with what Tyrone is saying, because society has always made it out that if the man stays with the woman that will have extramarital affairs, then he should do all that is necessary to put her away. But if he does it and she stays, then she's a really good woman. I think we need to move away from these labels that we put on people, that when a woman does something, that it's right because it's a woman. And in some instances, we look down on the female gender and think that they're less than because they decide to stay. And the man is an idiot because he decides to stay. I do think that persons who have a heart of forgiveness and who would have experienced much forgiveness and understand that if they are really seeking to get to eternity with God and they can't forgive the person their infraction, how then do they even expect God to forgive them? Because sometimes we do so many things, whether consciously or unconsciously, and we're expecting that the God of all creation would still be in relationship with us. And just because someone did something that I would say it's probably inevitable, but we can't find it within ourselves to forgive them. And I think sometimes I wouldn't say it's men only, but I would dare say tonight it's both ways, because they have some bitter men, bitter than Karila, and they have some bitter women, bitter than God.
If I may, I'm sorry, guys. I get the point of forgiveness. I get that there is strength in forgiveness. You have to be a strong person. I don't believe that society puts a woman down who forgives her man for an infraction. I don't believe that we say she's a weak woman, because in my estimation and my understanding, that we see women as more family oriented, and the one who is quick to forgive, right? Who is faster to forgive. And so we don't see them as we putting them down as being weak, but we understand who they are. Now, you would have used the word, Nancy, repeatedly. Now, if somebody is doing, my wife is cheating on me repeatedly, and I keep forgiving her, man, it's going to become stupidity and weakness. You can't do the same thing to me and repeatedly, as you would said, and expect me to keep forgiving you. I'm sorry, you're cheating on me. I'm sorry. I will forgive you, but I'm not with you. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to hold my point. I differ on that.
No, I think Trevor is agreeing with you there, Randy. Trevor Benjamin is saying you can't forgive and not stay with a person.
Exactly. The thing about this is that.
That's not the question that you ask.
But the thing about it, we have a forgiveness, we have a forgiving spirit, a forgiving heart. But yes, there are things that we're gonna do to each other from time to time that requires forgiveness. But this whole cheating thing, part, no, you're not gonna come and cheat on me over and over, and I'm gonna forgive. I'm sorry. And to me, that's gonna be that's weakness and that's stupidity. I'm sorry.
You were saying something, Cleon. Just so Cleon was saying something.
I hear Randy's heart, and I hear Trevor's position. But if you have decided that you're going to forgive the person and let them go, you still, in order to let them go, you still have to forgive them.
Agreed.
And this forgiveness many times is not for the person, but it's for my own mental health. And I have a lot of Christian people that are suffering from mental health issues right now because they have not learned how to forgive, because they want to bottle it up inside of them so much. Again, I'm no psychologist nor a therapist, people. They bottle it up so much that they are no longer able to function in the real world by dealing with the people around them in a normal way. But if you forgive the person and you choose to let them go, I am not going to say that is the right thing, that is the wrong thing. You have to work out your own salvation. But if you're going to let them go, you must forgive them.
Correct.
That's just my
Agreed. 100%, brother. Agreed.
And as you forgive them, you could throw a party too and celebrate your freedom.
Tyrone, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I'll be very brief. I understand Randy's position. I understand the comment on the chat. I understand everybody's position. I just want to put a different spin on everything. Do you know that you cannot forgive without having compassion? Forgiveness must come from a compassionate heart. That is why Jesus said in Matthew 18, the very last verse, if you from your heart does not forgive somebody, your heavenly Father will not forgive. And the thing is, what we are missing is sometimes we don't understand the power of a forgiving person and the power of love. This might be difficult for us to grasp. It was for me. It wasn't something easy for me to deal with. It was difficult. But I just want to say this here. Love is a very powerful thing. And I've understood that love either makes the person go away or draws the person closer. If you doubt it, look at the way God loves us. Not everybody accepts God's love. There are people who run away from God's love. And there are people who are drawn by God's love. So forgiving somebody must be followed by love. And the way you love that person will determine if the person changes, if the person stays, or if the person goes. And I can tell you, a guilty person would not stay in a love relationship. When they're loved tremendously, they wouldn't stay. They themselves would walk away. They themselves would walk away from true love that is expressed towards them. The power of guilt is a very serious thing, you know. A guilty person who stays in a very good love relationship will soon walk away themselves. You don't have to put them away. You don't have to tell them go, because the love that you show them, God said this, and this is what the Apostle Paul says to the wife and the unbelieving husband. The way you love the person, the thing that you do with the person, the thing that you do for the person can change their heart. And after a time, if the person is still stubborn in their ways, trust me, they will walk away. They will walk away. So the point I'm making is, while I understand it's something tough, it's very painful and so on, is that when we forgive somebody, especially in a marriage relationship, and God still expects us to treat that person with his type of love, not ours, because we can't do it, with his type of love. And when you treat somebody with the type of love that God puts in your heart, it melts the person. It brings them to a point of understanding what they're doing. And even if they don't want to change, they themselves walk away. I've seen it many times. I've heard of it many times. I've seen it many times. And as I this last point I'm making, I think if we spend some time studying the story of Abigail and her husband, the Bible is clear. Her husband was a very churlish man. The man was mean. The man was wicked. But Abigail was a woman of a quiet nature. She was kind-hearted. She was extremely loving. And guess what? When her husband behaved in his usual way, and King David got upset, David was coming for her husband to kill everybody, all the males. But the servant told Abigail. You know what Abigail did? Abigail took the initiative, and I think Orlando said women have initiative. Abigail took the initiative, went to meet David, and calmed David's spirit in a flash. But when she got home to her husband, she protected the same mean husband, you know. But when she got home to her husband, she couldn't speak to him because he was drunk. The Bible, she couldn't speak to him because he was drunk. And so she waited until the morning when he was sober. And when she spoke with him, he still did not listen to her. He behaved in his usually unmanly and mean way. And guess what? He ended up going about his business and he ended up getting killed. God has a way of fixing things that we have no idea how he's going to fix it. But he expects us to love people with his kind of love that he has put in our hearts.
All right. Thank you, dear Tyrone. Hold on, Randy. Bella, I think earlier you were trying to get a point over.
Yeah, I think basically with regards to men and women, as we were discussing on both parts. I feel like if someone is guilty of doing something, as we said it before, then they can come out in various ways. In terms of communication between the parties, obviously that's essential. With regards to what Tyrone was saying in conjunction with, if someone is really showering you with love and you're a guilty person, that eventually you're just going to leave. It is possible. I don't think that's for 100% because I've seen the adverse of that. Where I've seen the adverse of that, and I've heard stories where a man will say, hey, I really like you. I think you're a great person. I'm just in a complicated relationship right now of 18 years. So believe me, I think if that is habitual, if that's something that keeps going on, and it all depends on the other party as well, like we were discussing, you may say someone is a fool for sticking with someone for years that continuously cheats on them. If that person loves them, if that person wants to be in that relationship, they're going to stay. So they're that person's fool. You may consider them a fool in general, but that's your opinion, in their relationship. If that's something that they want, it's your opinion to say how you feel about it. That is what they've decided. So if they decided to make that life for themselves, it is what it is. In conjunction again with what is considered a weak man, I think for me personally, my only opinion with regards to that is a weak man is someone who has assumed a responsibility that he's not taking care of and he has discarded. If you have given up, if you need help with something and you refuse to get help, then you are a weak man as a result of that. You have been selfish. If you're a selfish person that has just disregarded any responsibilities that you may have, I think that makes you weak. A lot of times in society, a weak man is considered as a man who does not stand up to something, stand up for something. If you're in a fight, you're going to let yourself be bullied. There are ramifications to every decision and action that we take. So what one may consider weak, another may be, considered strong. But in conjunction with that, I think that's where those opinions lay and that's where they vary.
Okay, thank you so much. You're watching the Monday Night Conversation at the Georgetown Tea House. And we're going to be closing in a short while, and we want to deal with this topic. And Randy and Orlando, I'm going to start with you guys. These days, every now and then you'll hear this, this thought, this view from psychologists and so on. And I want us to address it here to close off. Randy, when a big man cries in front of a woman, is that a sign of a weak man?
To me, no. It just, I mean, it displays his softer side. I think the woman gets to understand that this man is not a robot. You know what I mean? And moreover, she gets to understand that he has emotions just like her, right? One of my favorite singer, Barry, says crying is not a sign of weakness. You understand? And but men genuinely are taught, you know what I mean, that crying is a sign of weakness, but it's not, and I believe that we are moving away from that. You know what I mean? The road man or the road guy will see a man crying and make fun of it and say it's a sign of weakness. But the learned person or the informed individual will see men expressing themselves who cries and all of these things. I remember this guy went to his brother's funeral, and that he was close to, and when he wanted to cry, he jumped in his vehicle and took a long drive till up to the whole beach side and cry and come back. You know what I mean? I mean, because that's how society would have viewed crying in public, or crying as a sign of weakness or seen as a weak person. But I don't believe a man who expressed himself in crying is weak. Sometimes I mean, it's very good, because those of us who pen up these feelings inside, if we cry it out, we can lash it out somewhere else. It can come out somewhere else. Something might come out on the woman, you know what I mean? So it's good for you to express these emotions as men. There is no weakness in crying. There is no weakness in expressing yourself. Some people have the notion that saying "I love you" is you know, we race to see who last is going to say "I love you." Want the woman to keep saying "I love you," but um, things are changing now. You know, men telling their wives and telling their kids they love them. I tell my children I love them every day. You understand? I even tell my students at school I love them, and those are things that men wouldn't usually express openly like that. You understand? But once you understand the power of love and forgiveness and all of these terms that we have out there, once we understand the power of them, then it becomes easy for us to do them, to express ourselves, to say I love you, to forgive. You understand me?
Okay.
Genuinely, to move on and so on. So no, I don't see it as a sign of weakness, even though society or some parts of society may see it as a sign of weakness. But no, cry, brother, cry the hell away.
Okay, Trevor is saying that's true, Randy. It is okay to cry, but no woman wants to see her man crying every opportunity he gets. Orlando, what's your take on Trevor Benjamin's comment?
Um,
I
Definitely not
agree.
on every opportunity, but crying, I see no problem with a male crying. For one, it shows emotion, and that is something as a woman we or women we look towards emotion. I said earlier in the program that men actually give like these three, four words which we probe for more. So with them showing more emotion, especially if the situation is quite intense, you know, it shows that they're sorry, actually wanting to move on from there, and make things better. But if you're crying for every situation, then that will make me again, intuition will kick in like, is this for real? Are you being real? Are you being truthful? Or are you just doing this for show? Because you know it's something that I'm going to accept. So you're continuing to do it because you think every time you do it, it's going to break that barrier. So not every time, but yes, I can. There's no problem seeing a brother cry at all. I think they
Okay,
should
but
cry.
but but Orlando and Bella, being the two women on the panel at this time, I'm gonna ask you both of you something, and you can start, Orlando. What about the issue of timing? Okay, this is what I mean. Um, you and I, we've just started dating. We've been dating for like 2 weeks now. Would you respond to me, I mean, outside say of the loss of maybe a close family member or something, put that aside. But how would you respond to me crying in front of you after 2 weeks of dating, as against 2 years of dating when you really know me?
Um, again, being 2 weeks, I would kind of question that. And it depends on the situation too. If you're kind of in a situation of me actually finding out you're talking to other females or something like that, then I'm gonna question that. Like you said, take out. I can't see any other situation that after 2 weeks, other than it being something that is real deep or detrimental, that you would be crying to me. But yeah, I would kind of question that after 2 weeks and you're crying. So
So Bella, when is it okay for a man to cry a big man to cry in front of a woman?
I think it's okay, like she said, just depending on what it's for. It could be maybe something emotional or traumatic that you've been through. Obviously, your emotions and the way that you are displaying your emotions as a male or a female will affect the way someone perceives you or shows what that person's character is. I'm sure a man doesn't want to see me crying every day either. So if it's not an episode, we're having daily episodes every day, breaking down and shutting down because our world is ending every day, that'd be a red flag to me, because that'd be like pretty dramatic. I'm just not that type, and I'd just be like, you know what, maybe you're not the guy for me. Maybe this is not what I want. You know what I'm saying? So the way I feel about it is, there can be something, going on. It's regardless of time, there could be a serious issue involved. As long as you're not crying wolf, like she said, you have to make sure, because anybody can hide whatever they did. We all see the funny memes on Instagram and Facebook all day, or a woman runs up her husband's car, $10,000. So he says, what is it for? So she just breaks down crying, and he says, okay, stop crying, forget about it. You don't need that. In real life, this is a reality. So you really got to put things in perspective. Look at those flags early. Make sure you see what it is. If it's a flag, get out of there. That's it.
Okay. Tyrone, Abigail McDonald is saying, oh my gosh, y'all stop. If a man is a crier, he's a crier. Would you feel it is a sign of a weakness if a woman cries after 2 weeks? What's your response, Tyrone?
As a young guy growing up, I used to cry a lot. If you ask my brothers, I would cry for any and everything, almost any and everything. They just look at me too strong, and I cry. And I'm not a weak man. I'm not a weak man by any stretch of the imagination.
You're a crier.
So, yes, I'm a crier. But when I grew up now, I hardly cry now. The thing is that, based on what Abigail is saying, is that I don't see crying as a weakness. What I'm hearing from Orlando and Bella is using it as a manipulative tool to get what you want, to get your way. And we know that people can do that quite a bit, because if it's like a child who wants something, and every time when the child knows that if he or she cries, the mother will give in and give him the stuff, the child will always want to cry when they don't get what they want. And so if you use crying as a manipulative tool to get what you want, then there's a problem with that. That person is very deceitful. But if the crying is genuine, it doesn't matter how often, it is not for me a sign of weakness. To me, it is somebody who is in touch with their emotional self. And the person has a very strong emotional esteem. The person knows exactly. And to me, from my perspective, crying is a way of expressing what you're feeling in a non-violent manner. So if I cry often, I'm basically speaking to my partner of something that's happening on the inside of me that I want to deal with in a non-violent, non-aggressive manner. So allow me to cry 5 times a day. Allow me to cry 4 times a week. Allow me to cry often I want to cry. I will let you know why I cry, and how basically it helped me to become a better person and to love you better. So you will love me crying again.
Cleon, earlier Telford Lane was saying, see the point. Women consider men weak when they cry. Other women consider him strong. As a psychologist, when a man cries, he's strong. What's your take, Cleon?
I agree. Not because Telford Lane says it from a psychological perspective, because it is the truth. It takes a lot of strength for a man to express that emotional side and be vulnerable in front of whether it's his wife, children, or even his peers. And I think the earlier young men begin to recognize that tears are a part of them, the quicker we will have less abuse in homes because they don't have to take out their frustration and their anger on someone else. Truly, if God didn't want you to cry, He would never make you with the tears. So just let it out. Just let it out. Just say with me, you're watching the live, just let it out.
Thank you, Cleon.
But it's difficult to put up with a crying partner all the time, eh?
Margaret Adams was earlier saying, I am a crier and I am not a weak person. If he's a crier, he's not weak. So please, people. Now, outside of um, timing, there may be what should I say? Let's call it the audio. Let's call it the audio factor. Orlando, while you may not consider a guy crying as weak, would there be something to the way he actually cries? Maybe like in the song that he makes that may or may not irritate you, may or may not want to tell you, hey, shut up.
I mean, a cry is a cry. Like we have, some people can soft cry and then some people just ugly cry. Again, it depends on the situation. What we call ugly cries because it really hurts. It's deep, and it's coming from within. So I don't think that would be irritating to me what sounds they make because tears come. I mean, it can come from joy, but then if we're talking about something that is hurting someone, there's no specific way or any way that you can kind of say they're gonna cry. A cry is a cry for me.
Okay, your take, Tyrone.
If the person cries and the person is genuine, it doesn't matter how it sounds. To me, it should not be annoying to somebody that you love or where the crying is coming from. Because the moment it gets to the point of annoying you as a person, then you will want to take action. And when you take action now, you're actually forcing the person to suppress what they want to express. And when that happens now, that's when you begin to get feelings that are being bottled up, emotions that are being covered, swept under the carpet, that are not being dealt with. And as time progresses, as time goes by, because they can't cry in front of you because they can't make the sound, then everything gets out of proportion. Everything blows up at some point in time. Or if it gets to a place where it annoys you, maybe you can just gently suggest lock yourself in a room, in a soundproof room, and just cry all the cry you want. So that, but I mean, on a serious note, I think when people cry genuinely, the first reaction should not be annoyance, but should be one of sympathy and empathy, trying to understand what was happening. And people cry for different reasons. I can remember once was a Saturday. I was home on Saturday, and I cried non-stop for nearly 20 to 30 minutes. The tears just kept running down my eyes. And why I cried? I was listening to a sermon, and the guy spoke on God's grace. And when I really understood God's grace for me, the tears just started flowing. You could have sworn that somebody either died for me or something tragic happened. But the way I cried when I understood God's grace, I couldn't control myself. I couldn't control it. The tears just kept flowing. And even though I tried to basically muffle the sound, it just was not taking it. I just had to cry, understanding God's grace. So depends on what the person is going through at the moment. I think one of the first response should be one of sympathy and empathy, trying to understand why the person is basically crying the way they're crying and those kind of things, rather than annoyance.
Okay, your closing take, Bella, on that.
I think, yeah, the cry can be annoying. I think a lot of things that we do, I mean, someone snores, we're going to hate it, but, you know, we're not going to leave him because we hate his snoring or we hate her snoring. We'll find ways to deal with it. There are going to be times that different things are coming up. And even as Tyrone was saying about locking him in a soundproof room, I will gently escort him to the bedroom so he can get it out, be by himself, you know, think about life. And then we come back to center. There's certain things that you're going to do, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to be there for that person, especially emotionally, physically, when they need you. If they're crying to you on the phone and they need you to be somewhere, I'll be there in 10 minutes. I have to go from A to here. I'll pick you up. What's going on? That's the type of support that you're always going to need from a supportive partner. So regardless of what's going on, I think, yeah, they're going to be tons of things that annoy us every day. You know, I talk too fast. He talks too slow. He makes too many decisions, or he doesn't make enough decisions. There'll be something, but at the end of the day, that's what a relationship is. We compromise on certain things because it's not a make or break. We're going to love you either way. Things will get on our nerves, but, you know, I'll put that breathe right strip on when we're sleeping to make sure that you don't sound so hard, whatever it takes. But you're always going to be there for that partner. Absolutely.
Okay, and let's finish with this now. On the issue of crying, Orlando, say you're with a guy for 10 years plus, and you've never seen him cry. Do you get worried? Would you get worried?
No, I don't think I would, because for me, again, I think growing up, I've always been against society with your thought that a man is actually not supposed to cry. So with me not seeing him crying, it actually wouldn't do anything to me, even though I know that is not true, because there's a lot of bottled up feelings. I have a 25-year-old son that actually, even though he's been here forever and a day, he actually thinks he has to be the man of the house, and it's not okay for anybody to see him cry. So when he did break down at the time that he did, I was happy to see it, because before then it was nothing but anger that came out. He lashed out just because he did not either want to cry or say he was sorry. But when those words came out of him, he was able to say, I'm sorry, and cry. You see the difference in him. He was able to communicate more. He was able to listen. So again, it can go both ways, but definitely I would not be worried about a man not crying and me seeing it for 10 years.
Okay. What about you, Bella?
I think I would want to know if I'm in a relationship or marriage.
Would you get worried after 10 years?
I would be concerned. Yeah, it's been 10 years. I would definitely be concerned. I would want to know what was that breaking point. If someone doesn't usually do that, I mean, it would worry me if they didn't cry for 10 years, actually. That would also worry me, because I'd be like, what's going on here with your feelings? And I know, like, there's been situations, or even a lot of guys I know, that they're not really quick to cry, but it will happen, or you will see their emotions. One way or the other, that release is going to happen. If that release doesn't happen, I don't think that's healthy emotionally or mentally, for that matter. So it would be very concerning to me if you're not showing emotion all that time. And at the point when you do, I want to know, like everything will stop. I want to know what happened, what exactly is going on, that it's, that it's happening now. And then, was it pent up for all these years? And that's super unhealthy because you don't know what kind of episode that's going to be at that point. You don't know where it's going to go. So it would be something that would be concerning to me.
Okay, so Randy, should a woman be worried if she's been with you for 10, 12 years and she hasn't seen you cry?
No, she shouldn't. She not seeing me cry doesn't mean I don't cry. Sometimes I'll just do it in private when she's not home. Sometimes I lock up in the house, she gone to work. She gone to work and so on. I'm here crying my eyes off and stuff. By the time she comes back, I'm good. You know what I mean? But I think it's something that not about so much about crying, but people would like to see some sort of emotions. You know what I'm saying? So you not seeing me cry for 10 years does not necessarily mean that I'm not crying at all. You know what I mean? I just don't do it in front of you. But in my quiet time and in my own time, I will sometimes cry and all and let it out. There are some situations that perhaps will cause me to do it in front of you. And if such situation arises, then fair enough. You cry, you see me cry. But me not doing it in front of you 10 years shouldn't worry you if during the 10 years you see no sort of emotion, no soft side of me, then you should get worried. You know what I mean? If my expression and my dealings with you is strictly robotic, then you should be worried then, you know what I mean? But if men, we tend to show our soft side in various ways, not just by crying, you know what I mean? All right. But then if you don't see any emotions at all from me in situations that warrant certain emotions, then you need to be worried, right? But crying is not essential for anybody to see, or it should be seen, but rather having that empathetic heart and way of how we do things. We tend to pick it up and we understand that you have somebody who is very supportive, who's very loving. You see all these emotions in different ways, not necessarily crying. So if 10 years elapse and you haven't seen me cry, perhaps in another 10 years I'll cry. You just have to be patient.
All right. Tyrone, I'm going to allow you to close us out by giving a brief answer to this question, and next week we will go much deeper into it. Now, when we speak of parenting and we speak of mothering and we speak of fathering, it takes the two words, even though they both reference parenting, it takes on slightly different meanings, given who we kind of associate with a mother as against what we associate with a father. Now, the question is, in the Christian Bible, it's been accepted that God is neither man nor woman. God is a spiritual entity, non-gender, essentially. Why then, in the Bible, is God defined by masculine pronouns? And are they saying that the father factor is more important or larger than the mother factor? Briefly, and then we'll go into it next.
Wow, that's a very deep theological, philosophical question. I'll put it this way, and I'll throw it out there. It will cause some thinking. As much as the Bible refers to God as a male gender, so to speak, it does not present God as somebody who does not have characteristics, so to speak, or a female, so to speak. I believe the God that we serve possess both what he gave to male and what he gave to female. Not in terms of biological makeup, but in terms of rationality, in terms of how they think, in terms of the brain. God has given himself to man, what man has, and also part of himself, so what the female has. And so in God, you can find both male and female in God. And if you look at it from that perspective, because if you look at how the Bible describes God, nurturing, a woman nurtures. A woman is people say a woman is made to nurture. God nurtures his people. A man is made to serve, to love. God loves. Man loves the way God loves. A woman loves the way God loves. And so all of God is being distributed in both gender. And so man has their character traits from God. The woman has her character traits in God. And that is why they would say, we can find our purpose all in God, nothing else. In him, we have our being, we move or we have our being, not in the biological or the physical sense, but in terms of the nature, of the mindset, of the psychology, of the how we think and so on. We have both of them in God. And if I'm to wrap it up, put it this way. God took part of him, said, okay, this is for man. That's how I want man to be. He took part of him, said, this is woman. That's what I want woman to be. And so both of them are found in God. And so there is no, one is no more important than the other one. In that sense, a man is not more important than a woman. A woman is not more important than a man. They're all given different rules that are equally important in the scheme of things where God is concerned. And finally, what's written in the Bible, it has a highly spiritual, symbolic meaning of God's relationship with humanity, God's relationship with his church. And so when the Bible says that Christ is the husband and the church is his wife, God had to use these kind of gender issues here that we're discussing now to explain his relationship with church. Because Paul said it in Ephesians, the marriage is something like a mystery, but he's explaining the mystery of Christ and his church. So Christ being the husband and the church being the wife. And if I to go deeper into it, in Genesis, that is why God took the rib out of man, symbolizing that the church of Christ, the bride of Christ, must come from Christ. It must come from Christ. So these things that God bear are highly, they have a spiritual symbolism wrapped up in all of them.
All right.
And so I will leave it right there for now.
We will look more into that. Thank you guys for all your comments. I mean, Telford, Abigail, Zonafet, Margaret Adams, Trevor Benjamin. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Cleon. Thank you, Orlando, Tyrone, Randy, Bella, for taking the time out yet again to spend with us. And we would like to welcome you all back next Monday for another Monday night conversation. And we will continue looking at the roles of men and women. You wanted to say something?
Just one thing in 5 seconds. Remember the book of Genesis, Genesis 1, I think it's 26. God said, let us make man in our own image. in the image of God, and in the likeness of God, created he, them, both male and female, were made in the image of God. So there is something of God in both man and woman. And there is something about both man and woman that's in God.
Okay then. Okay, see you guys next Monday. And in the meantime, be good. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Time after time, I was searching for peace in some void, and I was trying to blame all my ills on this world I was in. Surface relationship used me till I was done with, while all the time someone was waiting to free me from my sins. He was there all the time. He was